everybody. Welcome to The Grid. You are here with the backup crew. Dun, 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 dun. No, we are actually the front crew. We've been letting Scott and all those guys follow around our coattails, and now we've got control.
That's right. So if you are tuning in today and you're wondering, where's Scott? Where's RC? They're in Toronto, up in the, is it snowy? I don't know if it's
They
snowy,
picked
but
a good day to go to
cool
Toronto.
day. Yeah.
Kind of why we had the idea of doing this winter special while they're gone, because here in Florida, I'm in sandals, short sleeves, and they are slogging through snow. So that's kind of where we started. Brad Moore, how you doing?
What's up? I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. You got to introduce yourself. This is
Hi, I'm Brad Moore.
There you go. You like long walks on the beach?
No, I hate the beach.
I don't.
That's why
All
I
right,
live in
hey,
Florida.
that's enough of that chit-chat. Let's get right into the show here. First thing we're going to do is mention Scott's new book, because this is what we get paid for. You know, end of the day, pimp Scott's book. Oh, quick, Arnaldo running over to the other camera to get the beautiful zoom in. There you go, focus. Yes, it's brand new book coming out. It's called Adobe Photoshop CC.
It's not in stores yet,
for digital
but it will be
photographers.
soon.
And if I read it directly off this, he has a lot of pro tips, shortcuts, and workarounds. How to get the hyper-real look and some of his special workflows. Right there.
So you can get a free excerpt of that book at KelbyOne.com/Scott.
Well read there. Well, hey, listen. Brad and I, when we found out we were going to do this show, we sat around and thought about, you know, what are some different topics that we could deal with. And after we threw out all the ridiculous ones, we really thought about, you know, this season, as you're moving up towards Christmas and the end of the year, can really be a downtime for a lot of folks, especially when the lights go down a little bit. That's nice. And so we started thinking about what are some things we can do for the folks that kind of get the winter blues. I know even here in Florida, it's easy to kind of get, you know, so busy doing other things that we forget about how to make sure that we start the new year on a good foot.
Because a lot of photographers, their slow season is the winter, so we thought, well, why not talk about some things that you can do to prepare yourself for the new year and catch up on some things that you got behind on during this year and all that. And just real quick, I'm going to give a hat tip to my buddy Donald Page, because he tweeted this thing yesterday that inspired this discussion. So thanks, Donald.
So good on you, Donald. So, well, why don't we jump right in?
Sure.
And, you know.
So the first thing, yeah, we're great at this. We're not awkward at all.
Smooth.
So the first thing we want to talk about is I know personally, like, I'm a concert photographer and I shoot all these shows throughout the year. And most of the time, the pictures that I'm there to shoot and then get published are from the main band that's playing. So I have like all of these pictures of the opening acts that I've never even looked at. So if you're kind of that kind of photographer where you go through, you pick your selects and edit those pictures that need to be done immediately, and then say I'll look at the rest later, now's the time to do that.
Right, because if you're like us, you've always got those ones. I actually have a file that's called potential file that I'll throw a lot of stuff into, but then I never tend to get around to it. Well, then when we hit this low period, if you have a low period, you're like, it's driving you crazy. What can I do? Well, go back and revisit some of those stuff. And this is a great tip that RC told us, and I want to jump over, if we can see my computer. If you're working in Lightroom, what you might want to do is you might want to come in and go down to Collections and go to Smart Collections and create a new Smart Collection. In this, what you can do is you can choose from the different drop downs, and what I've done is I've said anything that is a Photoshop document and create it, and now it will automatically load up any images that are Photoshop documents. I can do the same thing now with the TIFF, and when I create it, now I've got 50 images in here that are TIFF images. And what that usually means is I've tweaked them and I've worked on them some, but I might not have necessarily done anything extra with them. But it's kind of a good first start to say, hey, go check these out. Other thing you could probably do is check out your 4-star ratings, depending on how you rate your stuff. Mm-hmm. You could check your flags and other things to go through. Or if you're like me and a visual guy, I just go through from the beginning of the year to the end, going through my different files, because something may jump out that at the time didn't really, but now it's like, yeah, I would really like to work on that, and that's a great way to get you motivated.
Yep. Agreed.
That was awesome. Hey, by the way, we've got Adam doing our comments over there, and he's very excited about that. So make sure you send him a lot of comments all in one shot so we can test his commentability. But no, we want to take your questions and stuff and maybe some ideas that you have for how you're going to be handling this winter season.
Yep.
But I should tell you, we're breaking this up into different sections. So we're going to start with the personal section, how you can do some stuff personally. Then we're going to talk about socially. Then we're going to talk about professionally. And then we're going to get kind of mushy in the end and talk about kind of emotional or inspirational stuff that we can do. So that's kind of the flow of how things are going. Make sure you holler at your friends and say, come on over, let's talk about these things. Check us out, send some Twitters out, do all that good stuff. We'd love to have you join in the conversation.
Absolutely. So one of the other things you can do is look back at other pictures from the year from other people and try to pick out any trends, any habits, any editing styles, anything like that. Like what's current. And I don't want it to get like too trendy, I guess, because trends come and go. So don't get too stuck in a certain editing style. Like right now, the low contrast look is big, and I'm just not a big fan. But anyway. Yeah, go back and look at what's popular right now. Pick up some magazines and see what's getting published.
Sorry, yeah. I would say also go check your shooting style and what's going on with you, because a lot of times when you're in the heat of the moment, you're doing different jobs, you're going from one job to the other, you don't realize that maybe you're doing something that you really like that you should work on, or you may have picked up some habits that you'd like to change. So for instance, you may want to, over there. I'm so good. You may want to go back and see where you have perhaps shot the same sort of style for multiple wedding shoots or kid shoots or whatever, and you're starting to kind of get in a rut. Maybe you want to change that. Or maybe you've seen where you could really do a little bit better in this one area, and you've just always said, I'll do it better next time, but it's been 5 or 6 shoots and you haven't made any changes. This is a great time to go back and just see how you've done, what habits you've picked up that are good and what habits are bad.
Yep. And then another thing you can do is find a certain skill set that you want to grow in. You know, look at some, like I said, some of the trends or whatever, but look at different lighting styles and take the time to go out and play and experiment with different types of shooting and things like that to kind of grow your toolbox of things that you can go back to and kind of, you know, whenever you're stuck for an idea, the more tools you have in your toolbox, the easier it is to get unstuck out of that rut.
Yeah, I think one of the great things before I was ever part of NAP or KelbyOne was when I had those times that I felt like I was uninspired. One of the best ways you can get inspired is to learn something new, because then a new world opens up. So you study something, you try out a new technique. If it's for a lot of you, I would say a great thing that you could do is study about lighting and how to work lighting better, because I know you're just like me and you get scared about, well, if I bring all this lighting gear and I get in there, then I'm going to get caught trying to figure all this out and I'm going to miss some of the real stuff I want to capture. Well, now is the time to practice and get better at that stuff so that when it's the real deal, you will feel confident and it'll be natural. If you haven't checked out Roberto Valenzuela's book called Picture Perfect Practice, he is so good at talking about using your downtime to really hone your skills and learn new things so that when the chaos and the stress of the real project comes along, you're ready for it. And let's face it, we often wait until it's the day of or the day before a shoot to really go, okay, what do I need? What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And that's not the time you need to do it. That's not the time you need to figure out lighting. That's not the time you need to get in there and try to figure out a new lens or a new camera. You need to practice and use the downtime right now as a way to really challenge yourself and push through it.
And two things I want to mention just real quick, kind of going off of that, is Greg Heisler had a studio in New York City for, I think he said like 35 years or something. And I just heard him talk about this at Photo Plus a couple weeks ago. He can count on maybe 1 or 2 hands the number of times he did actual like paid photo shoots in that studio, because for him, that was where he experimented. That's where he did all of his tests and did all of his, you know, figuring out what different setups were going to work best for different shoots. So even if you're not, you know, getting paid to do shoots, you should be out there doing personal work and figuring that stuff out. Also, talking about looking at different types of photography, another great guy, Dave Black. Some of the best advice that I've ever heard from him was if you're say a sports photographer, try landscape photography. Study that type of work, because if you're out shooting a golf match, golf is really landscape photography with people in the shots. So, don't be afraid to say, well, I'm a people photographer, I don't want to shoot landscapes. Go out and do that. Go out and shoot other types of photography, and that will only make you better because you'll find new ways to look at things.
We've got a couple great comments here. Somebody said, winter is also a good time to check out other people's work and cruise 500px. That's great. Yeah, get inspired. Take time out, because you're sitting around, if you're like me, you're sitting around in the less than flattering outfit. I'm not going to paint a picture for you there. But you've got your computer and you're just kind of enjoying things. Maybe get a hot chocolate and sit there and start collecting ideas for what you're going to do when you're not snowed in, if you are up north. Also, another comment is winter, if you're up north and snowed in, is like the best time to catch up on KelbyOne videos. We didn't pay that person, but we may have to for that. That's what happened to me that time we lived in Pittsburgh and froze our butts off in 17-degree weather. Hey, yeah, it doesn't have to be KelbyOne, but if you're cool and you're smart, it will be KelbyOne, but it's a great time to learn. And then the third one by John Mowry is annoy the wife by moving all the furniture, setting up lights, and then asking her to model. See, I've got to caution you there, though. If you don't have a place to run once you do that, you might just want to be careful. Make sure that you're not snowed in, because that could turn ugly. But no, it's a great time to practice.
All right, real quick, we're going to show you our giveaways.
Ho-ho.
First up, if you're watching and you want a KelbyOne, where am I going here? KelbyOne messenger bag, whatever this guy is. It's got a nice big flap, big inside stuff, whatever. If you want this,
it comes with Brad Moore's phone number?
No, it does not. Wait till the end of the show. We'll tell you how to enter to win prizes. And we're also giving away a copy.
You can get it in stores.
A copy of Scott's
brand new book.
And, well, why not? Let's give away a ticket to a seminar. If you go to KelbyOne.com/live, you can see a list of all of our seminars there, and just pick one that you want to go to. And at the end of the show, we'll tell you how to enter to win those prizes. Yep. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back to talk more about what to do to get through winter.
Hi, I'm Scott Kelby, and I'd like to tell you about my brand new book, the Photoshop CC book for digital photographers. This new edition is the biggest revision I have done to the book in years, and it's primarily because the way photographers use Photoshop today is much different than we did even just a few years ago. So I wanted to create a new version that is right on top of how we really use Photoshop CC today. Of course, I cover all the new features released in Photoshop CC, but every Photoshop book's going to do that right. But I feel like my job as the author and as a photographer who uses Photoshop every single day is to really just cut through all that clutter and just straight up tell you which features to use, which ones to ignore, and I feel it's my job to show you the quickest, easiest way to get where you want to be with your Photoshop work as quickly as possible so you can get back to shooting fast. In this new version of the book, I show you all the exact techniques I use every day in my own work. And in fact, in the last chapter of the book, I lay out my entire start to finish workflow from the opening the original file straight out of the camera to delivering the final image. You see all of it every step of the way. I also share all my own settings throughout, including my sharpening settings, how I use Camera Raw. I share all my favorite photographic special effects, and I teach all of this just like I was telling a friend. I leave out all the geeky techno stuff, and I tell you just the same way I would if you and I were sitting there together. I even give you the same downloadable file so you can follow along with me using the same images that you see in the book. I've really worked hard to make this the best, most helpful, most useful version of the book ever. So I hope you'll check out my Photoshop CC book for digital photographers. It's available right now in print and ebook formats wherever really helpful books are sold.
You turn it this way and it all works out.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, hey, we're back. I'm just trying to start each one with some random thing, but hey, we got a couple more comments out there. You take the first one.
All right, so we got Monty LaMontagne.
Patrick.
He says, winter's a good time to work on your Pete Collins impersonation. The camera's in my way, so I can't see the rest of the comment. Thanks, Arnaldo. Speak slowly with a funny accent.
He's just jealous because he's Canadian. Okay, another comment is personal projects in Photoshop, and then read a bunch of books, but don't forget the alcohol. David D., we're finding a trend here that people are saying alcohol helps get through the winter. I don't know. And this next one, I have a question about this. Sadly, we're talking about the weather, and we should be talking about tiny horses. And they all said, oh no, tiny horses. I have no clue.
I forget sometimes that Pete's like the new guy around here.
I've been here 3 years.
I know.
Over 3 years.
But he has no idea what the tiny horses are. If you're a newer viewer, you probably don't either. But obviously Shelley does. So on Photoshop User TV, one of our other shows, there was a running gag for many years, I guess, about tiny horses. Like anytime that Scott would not be on the show, oh, where's Scott at? Oh, he's off tending to his Shetland ponies or whatever, and they would throw in all the like, you know, I say nay jokes, and it's just a running horse thing. So there you go.
Boy. That seemed more exciting during the break when they all responded than the actual story. I apologize to y'all out there. Yeah. Hey, speaking of awesome, one thing photographers do over the winter, wait for it. See, they write these things up for us, so I got to make sure I say it right. They train with KelbyOne. Bum, bum, bum. Make sure to sharpen your skills and sign up for Cyber Weekend Day deals.
I think there's a URL they need to go to do that. KelbyOne.com/cyberweekend. Go there, sign up for alerts and deals and all that fun stuff if you want to partake in Kelby training or, sorry, I keep saying Kelby training, sorry. KelbyOne. There's going to be, we'll get to that later.
Let's just face it.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, there they go. They're going to scroll it.
There's some stuff.
Brad and I are just basically eye candy here. It's all about selling the stuff to get you to go to KelbyOne. So here you go.
All right.
Go to KelbyOne.
So now we've got a quick video. I say quick. Yeah. It's not really a quick video.
Well, this is going to be a segue, a tie-in to what we're going to talk about next, and it's very timely. So we're going to have a little drop-in where I met with Sean Dempsey from Squarespace. They've got new Squarespace 7 out, and it's going to feed right into what we're going to talk about how to update your social presence. So it's a little bit long, so
sit back, relax.
Sit back, relax, enjoy, and we'll be right back. Well, hey, everybody. I'm on set with my buddy Sean, and we're going to talk about one of our favorite companies, Squarespace. As you know, if you've watched The Grid, we talk about it all the time. All the guys here have our Squarespace accounts, and we have our own websites through Squarespace, and now it's even better. And so, Sean, I'm going to let you take the stage and tell us a little bit more about what's going on with Squarespace.
Awesome. So yes, we just recently launched Squarespace 7. So it's a brand new take on our already very popular Squarespace 6, where we've finally added a bunch of new features into one. And one of the best and biggest upgrades is the interface. So no longer are you actually moving through the back end and the front end to see your content. You can actually now edit your site right on your page, so on page editing, and you get nice device view already built in as well. And so we've got a few other things that we launched at the same time. Fantastic integration with Getty Images. We also introduced a brand new feature called Cover Pages, a really fantastic way to show off some gorgeous photo and either use it as your homepage, or you can even highlight an album or perhaps an event that you're doing. So Cover Pages is fantastic. We also integrated with Google Apps, so now you can sign up for Google Apps directly in the Squarespace interface. And then our mobile apps is another thing that we've always been working on for a while, and just recently moved away, or didn't move away, we actually are adding Android to our list of apps that we're developing. So currently for iOS, we've got our blog, note, metrics, and portfolio app, and fresh out of beta, we've got our blog app for Android, and we've also introduced the note app for Android as well. So some fantastic new apps for our Android users. And developers, rejoice, build anything, access the code. We've taken the developer platform out of beta as well, so lots of access to the code base and be able to create whatever you like.
That's probably my favorite addition of this, because I'm a really good coder.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
There's quite a few folks that would be right there with you.
No, that's pretty cool. But I just want to jump back real quick to when we talked about the interface change. I'm kind of surprised because it was so easy beforehand to do the editing and stuff like that. Now it's going to be even easier because you can do it right there.
Absolutely.
But it was so easy before. That was the big selling point that I tell a lot of folks is go check out Squarespace, because I'm a big Luddite when it comes to a lot of this stuff, and I was able to get my site up and running pretty quick, and so now it's even easier. And the final one that I wanted to highlight is you've got even more new designs.
Absolutely, yeah. We just released 14 brand new designs. They're really fantastic, and we actually like to kind of think of them as like starting points. So you can either kind of take the content that's within these brand new templates and simply replace them with your own and have a site up super quick, and then, or you could actually just wipe out all the content and start from scratch. So 14 brand new designs to start from, and they're really fantastic.
Okay, well, that's awesome, Sean. And here's a question for those folks that haven't gotten around to playing with Squarespace. You got something for them, the new guys.
Absolutely. So Squarespace offers a free 14-day trial that's fully featured, and we don't need any credit card for you to get started. Simply put in your email address, choose a password, pick a template, and you're in.
Man, that's gonna grab a lot of folks, because as soon as they see how easy it is, that's what got me when they said, "Hey, try this out," and I went boop 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 boop. I was like, "Holy cow, I'm done."
Absolutely.
That's pretty amazing. Well, hey, Sean, thank you so much for coming here. We love Squarespace. We talk about it all the time. Some people on the grid probably get tired of us talking about it, but it's such a great company and such a great product. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, we're going to jump right back to the grid. So actually, there are going to be different people sitting right here when you come back. Take care. And look, I just magically transformed, and my shirt went a little different color.
Sean transformed
green.
into me.
I mean, Sean and Brad just...
Though, like every time it would cut from them doing something on the website back to the set, I'm like, crap, are we
Brad
live
kept
again?
jumping, oh, we're live. And then like,
Anyway.
no, it's still us.
Continue.
So anyway, okay, hey, yeah, it's a great time that fit just perfectly with the whole idea of revamping and updating your website. I had to do the same thing. As a matter of fact, when Sean came in and he looked at mine, he said, you, Scott, and Matt all have the same template. Y'all need to update. And you have old templates. Basically, he called us old and sad. So this is a great time to go in. They've got some great new templates on Squarespace. And the thing that I like about it is how much easier it is just to go in there and start playing around. I did this literally during the break. It took 2 seconds to pop that thing in there, and now it's part of my my website. But that's something that we forget to do. We forget to go in and take care of those little things, update them, keep them fresh. Well, now's the time to do it. Brad, you got the same thing. Equal time. You're on SmugMug, aren't you?
I am on SmugMug. If you want to take, actually, I should probably airplay. Haha.
Yes.
All
you can
right.
go to bemorevisuals.com.
Oh, they just went full screen. I didn't know
Yes,
if they
it
did
did.
that. Nice. Anyway, so yeah, I'm on SmugMug. I've got this nice like full screen thing going on here. And then I have not updated this in a while. I think I added that picture maybe a few weeks ago, but it was just from earlier this year. But anyway, I need to go in here and update some stuff myself. So I'm not even going to keep scrolling. And I apparently forgot that we were going to be doing this, so I don't have anything prepared to actually update it with. But yeah.
That's all right.
Sorry.
You get the whole idea is this is the perfect time. So many times we get caught up and we're getting stressed because we've got so many things to do, but then when we have that downtime, we forget to take care of the important things that are going to help drive things for the next year. And so give yourself a makeover. First of all, it'll remind you where you've been, and hopefully encourage you that you're going to put in new pictures and look at the pictures from last year and start going, man, I can't believe I put that up, which will be a great way to encourage your growth. You realize that you've gotten better over the last year, and that will be great for the thing we're going to talk about later, the emotional aspect of it. But then it'll also give something for you to write about, talk about, do all those things on your social media. Hey, I just redid my website. Why don't you check it out over there? Why don't you come see what's going on? Hey, I love the new so-and-so, and you talk about there. Also, at the same time, think about your blog. A lot of these websites now have a blog sphere that you can attach to it, and it might be a great time if you haven't started blogging to get in there and start to do that. It's a great way to keep things fresh throughout the year.
And if you're going to start the blog, take that downtime to go ahead and write a bunch of posts to have kind of at the ready, so that you don't have to sit down and do it every day or how many times a week you want to post. Go ahead and have kind of a backlog ready, and have that storage there to
Yeah,
so you don't have to stress yourself out every week.
Start a series and have some things that you want to talk about, but then don't just, if you're like me, once you write them, you just want to throw them out there. But think about the times, you've got time now to think about all this stuff, but it's going to be crazy later, so have some little breadcrumbs that you can keep in there so that you don't end up going a month without doing anything.
Right, because you're always going to have certain posts that are going to be timely, about your latest shoot. You want to get something up about that, but then there's going to be certain topics that are evergreen, so to speak, that you can just post anytime. So if you can go ahead and get those ready, why not set on those for the slow shooting weeks that you'll have throughout the year inevitably.
Well, and here's another thing to think about. Even if you like the images and stuff that you have on your website, with the changes in Photoshop CC and other things, there are other processes in there that you might want to go back and reprocess the images that you have so they look a little bit better or have a different look, or maybe you're adding a little bit more of a blur to them or something like that. Just refresh them a little bit can be a real big help for something like that. Also go in and look at if you've got a lot of pictures and it's just overwhelming all the stuff you have in there.
Cut it down.
Cut it down. You want to keep it so that somebody walks in and looks at it and goes, I know what this person's all about, and they're not killing me with 400 images. So take that project to really streamline and make your website really sing. And then there's things like 500px. We talk about it all the time. Go in there, put some new pictures up, keep that pool fresh, but maybe even take some down that aren't really doing it for you, or you're looking at going, man, I wish I hadn't put that up. Take time to do that.
Yeah, filter that stuff out. And if you've got a Flickr account or there's any number of different social channels out there, just go in, update that stuff. Make sure you've got your best work showing and all of that.
Well, and here's the thing with the social aspect of it. Think of Facebook. If you just type online Facebook template, there are great little templates out there so that you can do some really neat stuff with your Facebook header, your headshot and stuff like that can really grab people's attention while they're coming to your Facebook site. So go in there, check it out. Just do a Google search. I've got one on my computer now if I want to make a change. But now is the time to sort of like think about branding yourself and preparing yourself for the next year if you're really wanting to do some stuff with your photography.
Just real quick before we move on to the next section, had Karen ask which of these platforms will sell your photos for you. I know SmugMug and Squarespace both have market aspects to them where you can sell pictures, and I believe even 500px does as well. So there's different ways to look at that. Just check those out. And I think most of them have like I forget how long they are, but free trials that you can check out and see, what the process looks like of doing all of that. And you can, try each one out and see what you like best for yourself.
Yeah. And the nice thing is if you're a KelbyOne member, we've got discounts. We're connected with both SmugMug and Squarespace, and things like SmugMug. Jock said SmugMug Pro has an easy shopping cart. Bay Photo can ship directly to customers. You set the prices. Most of these websites now realize that it's not just displaying, but it's also doing the marketing. Sure. And both of those are usually pretty easy to handle. I love Squarespace because actually, even though I teach Photoshop and photography, for a lot of the stuff on the web, I'm a Luddite. I mess stuff up. And so they make it easy for me. But definitely check that out. Let's see. Yep. Both. I'm taking care of all those. We're good to go. There was one thing.
He's looking at the comments on the screen.
Yeah, 500px is a bit limited, though, according to John Mason. Once again, you're going to have to figure out what works best for you, what your style is, who you're trying to reach, and really kind of play around with that. A lot of these places will let you do a trial to check things out. So make sure you do some of that. Yeah, we can't forget to mention Zenfolio, and there are a couple others out there.
And then even if you're in the chat here, Shelly mentioned if you're a Photoshop CC and Lightroom subscriber, you do the $10 a month deal. You also have Behance included in that, so check out Behance if you're using Photoshop CC.
Man, Lee Calkins just said a great thing. Send in your gear that needs maintenance. Beautiful.
I think this is good a good segue to the professional section. But yeah, that's absolutely something, because again, if it's your slow shooting season, take advantage of that and go through not just gear that needs repairing, like go through all of your gear, clean it out, make sure that everything's working properly. Just general maintenance like that is a good thing to keep up with.
Well, one of the biggest things for me is just find my gear.
Yeah, did I have 3 speed lights? What happened to that third one?
Find my gear. Find out if I've lent any gear out or if I've borrowed any gear, because I'm bad both sides of it.
Where did this 7200 come from?
Man, look, a 1DX. Make sure you take care of that, because there's nothing more frustrating than when you're getting ready to do a project and you spend the next 4 hours when you could be doing the planning and practicing or whatever, and you're just trying to find your gear. So if you're like me too, I'm always hesitant to send out gear because I might need it next week. Well, if you know it's a downtime, send it out, and you won't have to worry. Go ahead and send it out and get it taken care of.
Worst case scenario, you get that email of last minute shoot and you go rent something from Lens Pro To Go or Lens Rentals or whoever you rent gear from. All right, segue. Professional section. So one of the things you can do during this downtime is look at your kind of professional mode, so to speak, and look at how you market your business, market yourself, and what are the things that you use to do that. Well, one of the main things you have is your headshot or your profile picture that you use on social media or whatever. Like, is that something that's been updated recently, or has it been the same thing for the past year or two? Take the time to
go up to New York, get Peter Hurley to do a headshot for you, and then you will shebang.
That's one way to do it. And even with that, that's something, if you want to do it yourself, do that self-portrait, and you can use that time to also be experimenting with different lighting techniques and different shooting techniques and all that. Just use yourself as a model, get a trigger to fire the camera,
or just do the remote trigger on it. But yeah, it's a great way to practice, and then you don't have to be so nervous. You just got to act a little weird by staring at yourself in the camera, but it's dual purpose there.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to think that you have to do this only if you're a professional photographer, but now in the social media age, it's all about kind of your presentation. Sure. And if you're wanting to do this even as a amateur, advanced amateur, or whatever, you're going to have a presence that, you go shoot at your kid's soccer game and somebody goes, oh, really? Do you have a card, or do you have any of these things? You need to think about how you present yourself, especially if you want to get more and more involved in this. Now is the time to start thinking about these things and getting yourself set up. There's also usually a lot of holiday deals going on that you can take advantage of to do these things. Now, it might seem a little creepy if, they're having an Ola Mills special or whatever, and you go walking in with no kid and say, how about this? But no, just think about, there are lots of ways to do this that involve you just being a little creative and being able to do something that's not just your standard headshot or whatever.
And speaking of getting emails about discounts, I think that just the other day I got one from Moo saying that they were having some sort of special. I forget exactly what it was, but I'm personally a big fan of if you're not familiar with Moo, they do business cards and promo mailers and all sorts of different stuff. I think Pete's going to pull them up real quick, but they make really, really good quality cards. They are a little pricier than your average standard kind of flimsy business card, but they do really good work, and it always, as soon as you hand it to somebody, they always stop and go, whoa, what is this?
Well, and you can do just the regular business cards or the photographic business cards, and that all ties together, because now you're thinking, okay, I can have a different picture on every business card. So now you go through and find all your best photos, and that should lead you into making sure that your portfolio's got the best photos. Right. And they all kind of,
you've got a little mini portfolio you're carrying around with you at all times. If you're that person that always has business cards. Last time I had them printed, I did that. I printed it. I picked like my favorite, I think it was either 5 or 10 favorite images, and had 10 of each printed up, and then on the back, of course, it's all my contact info and website and everything. You don't have to use Move. There's plenty of other options out there, but either way, you should have a business card at the ready. Just, you never know who you're going to meet. Actually, for example, at Photo Plus, one night, me and Pete went out with Jeremy Cowart shooting late, and then after we were done, we went to Shake Shack, and we're standing in line, and Jeremy strikes up conversation with the guy behind us, and turns out that the guy works at a big ad agency, so Jeremy made a contact just by going to Shake Shack. So, but it's things like that you need to be prepared for.
Jeremy works in a different world. We all love and hate Jeremy at the same time. He is phenomenal. Yeah, that sounds about right. I had just left, hadn't I?
You had.
Son of a gun. Hey, we got a couple great comments on here. Jonas Helson said he broke his hand in September and hasn't been able to use his camera since. So it could be a lot like Winter. And he says, I've been using the time to update my homepage, update all different social media pages, sorted my camera gear, managed a new backup of my pictures, and written some articles for my blog. Oh yeah, and I've slept as well. And then Shelley says, I'm trying to start up a new photography meetup group on creative photography like light painting and quadcopters. I'm taking the winter time to really get my ducks in a row and start in on the spring. See, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's where we're going to go in a minute about trying new things and becoming more interesting as a person yourself. But that's really good. Another thing you might want to think about if you're really wanting to get into this business is maybe thinking about creating a portfolio book. Do you remember when Dixie Dixon came on?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If you haven't seen, when she comes on, she has a web page and all that stuff, but she has printed a portfolio book, and there's something about handing it to people, and these gorgeous, glossy pictures, they just start flipping through it. It feels really good.
Yeah.
And that might be something you want to think about doing, is if not just a super portfolio book, a coffee table book, do something. This goes to both the professional and the social. Think about creating some of these books as gifts. First of all, we're photographers. We're spending all the money on gear. So let's make some books that we can give away with our photography. But then also think about this way, taking and making prints and books and going around and giving them to your vendors.
Yeah, to your clients, to
the people that you're going to be working with. It's a great way to go, hey, you know, go to your print shop. You know, I really appreciate all that you've done for me over this last year. I'd like to give you a little thank you book. It's a perfect Christmas gift, a perfect segue, so that then when the next year rolls around and they've got to think about doing something, you're somebody that not only takes advantage of their services, but also is a friend and cares about them. And it's a great way to think about where you're going to head. Because over and over again, when we do these segments, when Mia introduces folks, interviews folks, they talk about kind of how they have a plan, and most of them have really worked the network that they have. So suddenly, the print shop knows a guy that needs somebody to do something, and they go, hey, you know, I've got this guy over here, and just like hanging out at the Shake Shack with Jeremy Cowart, suddenly your name pops up. And so use this time to really be creative and think about how you can market and advertise yourself as well.
Yeah, and if you're going to be in that world where you have both a website and a printed book, something to keep in mind is if your clients are going and looking at your website and you're constantly updating it, and then you show up with a printed book that has all the exact same pictures, you're not really taking advantage of doing the printed book. Save some things that are only going to be in the printed book so that they go, oh, there is new work in here. There is stuff I haven't seen. Of course, you know, that's a sorry, trying to think of a name. Art Stryber talks about that in his seminar at Photo Plus. So if you were lucky enough to be at that, that's one of the things that he mentions, because he does come. He lives out in LA, but he has a lot of clients in New York. So if he's going to come out to New York and make that cross-country trip to show people his book, he's got to make it worthwhile. You got to have stuff that they haven't seen before. So just something to keep in mind.
Well, and we keep talking about Photo Plus and these different seminars and workshops and stuff like that. That may be a great time during this time to do some of that. Go to workshops, go to different expos or whatever, because A, it'll get you out of the rut. It'll give you new things to think about, new gadgets to play with. Listen to people who will inspire you, and it'll get you in a different frame of mind. And it also is a great place to network. It's like just going to...
Absolutely.
Just going to PPE, Photo Plus in New York, it was like, you know how you go emotionally or in seasons, you're like, you kind of start going down. And you go to something like this, and all of a sudden you come back and you've got all these new ideas. And it's just a great place to take advantage of, especially if you're frozen in the north. Maybe take a workshop down south, or go bug jock in Hawaii and go someplace warm. It'll be amazing what it'll do to your spirits to be able to do something like that. Well, hey, we're going
Did
to
we talk about this?
Yeah,
Okay.
The whole idea of using to make a.
We're good.
Would you pay attention? Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is, oh, look, it's time for a marketing mention before we take a break. It's that time of year again, Cyber Monday weekend.
Monday weekend?
Cyber weekend. Weekend, yeah. Cyber weekend. Sorry, I forgot Thanksgiving.
We just take advantage of the whole thing.
Yep. This year we have a number of great deals and discounts and some very special limited edition prints and collector edition DVDs. Cyber Weekend starts November 26th, but if you sign up today, right now, you will get early bird notification and beat the rush. You can sign up for early bird access to all the deals before they sell out at KelbyOne.com/cyberweekend. And there's Scott saying,
sign up for Cyber Weekend.
Yeah, if you just go over there, check it out. Go to KelbyOne.com/cyberweekend. You can follow all that stuff, and then you'll be in the know, and you'll be able to grab some stuff. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the emotional side of winter. So, hang out there, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. And the first thing I got to address is Brandon Ford, one of our wonderful guys here at KelbyOne, has written in. He's off shooting a class with our buddy, Bill Fortney. in Vegas. Nashville, Vegas, you know. But he asked if we could hold hands through the next segment or eat bananas or both.
No.
But I will do this for just
Don't
a
touch
while.
me.
Another quick thing that John Mason said a great idea is to visit your local galleries and museums. There's a whole other world of fine art out there to check out. And I agree, because, you know, what we want to do, we are bombarded all day long with mediocre visual stimuli.
Especially working with this guy.
Yeah, no, seriously. We're filling up our visual memory bank with a bunch of just okay stuff. Go find some really good stuff to put in there that you can draw from, because there's a great quote out there by Santana that says that no, not the musical group, but the mind cannot comprehend what it has not perceived. Boy, I just killed that. But in essence, you can't create anything new from nothing. You really have to make connections and use what you have in there to make new connections. So you need to go out and do things that will stir up that visual memory bank that will help you do more and more stuff.
Yep. And at the beginning of the show, I mentioned my buddy Donald Page. Whenever he tweeted the thing about winter coming, he actually put a video along with the tweet, and you may or may not have seen it before. It's kind of long, but we're going to play most of it. A few years ago, I don't know, it's probably been 5 or 6 years ago, Zach Arias, the first time he did a guest blog for ScottKelby.com, he did a video called Transform. And you're going to have to stick with it, because I was showing it to somebody earlier who hadn't seen it before, and they were just like, holy crap, this is depressing. I'm like, it gets better, just chill. But so we're going to play the biggest chunk of the video and just watch it. And it's one of those things that whenever we posted it to the blog, it got just an inordinate amount of comments and just made Zach just crazy big among photographers.
It blew things up. But I remember I wasn't involved in anything here, and I remember when I saw it, and I just walked away. I walked in to my wife and said, man, you need to see this. And she said, no, I don't have to watch anything that you suggest, because I'm passive aggressive, and that's the way it is. No, I showed it to her, and she's like, wow, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
This is going to be a deep thing, but I think it'll really hit to the heart of the matter. So
if you've already seen it, it's worth rewatching.
Yep.
But I'm gonna hit play. Meredith, you ready? You ready in the control room? All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Zach Arias. I'm going 100 miles an hour down a dead-end road.
Who am I as a photographer? What is my voice? I don't even know what that really means, but it keeps me up at night. What is my vision? What is my goal? What do I bring to the table that countless others have not already served up on this massive platter of visual pollution we create each and every day?
Out my window for the sight of you on your way home back to me.
Who am I? What is my goal? Every winter I get in a funk. A deep and abiding darkness seems to wash over my brain. I hate my photography. I'm convinced I'm a hack. I'm convinced that the work I create is trite and unacceptable. Every winter it is time to lash out and thrash about and recreate myself as an artist. Every winter I lock myself away in my studio and drag subject after subject through different lighting scenarios, wardrobe changes, sub-freezing locations. I borrow large format cameras. I rent different lenses. I create 1,000 layers of garbage on top of a photograph. If I throw enough against the wall, something has to stick. Every winter I create a brand new body of crap. Stuff I'll never show the world. By January, I'm exhausted and depressed because I've yet to redefine myself as an artist. Jobs start coming back in. I'm busy again shooting what I know. By spring, I'm happy again because I pay all my bills with a camera. Summer comes along and I'm so busy I don't even know what my name is. I can barely keep up with the travel and the workload. Success settles in and I'm content with who I am. I lose my hunger. That fire in my gut is out, and I'm too busy to worry about it. But winter always comes. This winter was exceptionally dark. Why on God's great green earth do we have this insatiable desire to compare ourselves with others? What is this great sickness? I placed myself against my peers this year and was ready to walk away from the camera for good. I have so far to go, and I'm tired. It was time to reinvent myself again, but I didn't have it in me to even try. I settled into my depression and let it sweep over me like a gentle, suffocating blanket of cynicism and apathy. I've been driving as fast as I can for as long as I can remember. I've been stuck at this breakneck speed and it seems as though I can't get out of first gear. By the end of last year, I was throwing rods and the gaskets were blowing out like birthday candles.
It's bittersweet, this glass that we drink from. Raise a toast as it all falls apart. Got your stones at a throne, lay your head here for a while.
As my friend Kevin Abeda says, we aren't curing cancer with a camera. That needs to sink in. The only job that cures cancer is the job that cures cancer, as my friend Luis says. The rest of us are just paying rent. At the end of the day, it isn't this camera that matters. My father, he gave me my first camera. He was quite the enthusiast. My father has now been lying in a hospital bed for nearly 2 months. They put the trach in to help him breathe. Now he can't talk. If he doesn't pull out of this, he won't speak again. He's had his 78 years to say what needs to be said. I pray his voice comes back. I have a lot I need to say to him, and I need to know he hears me. Chances are you have your voice. You can say whatever you want to say right now. So what are you saying? What are you doing with the time you have right now? When you're 80 and you're flat on your back with no way to speak a single word, what will be going through your mind? Shutter speeds? Cool locations? That portrait series you shot that was printed in some magazine that no one remembers the name of? So why is all that so damn important now? I can pay my rent with a camera, or I can punch a time card and collect a check every 2 weeks. I can have the ability to make it to afternoon school functions for my boys, or I can just make the weekend events. I can hang out in a coffee shop with my wife at 10 a.m., or I can be watching the clock waiting for my 30-minute lunch break. I have an amazing life. I'm so very grateful for what I have, and any belly aching I do about it should have me taken to the woodshed for a lashing. So I'm still working on my photography. Am I so arrogant to think that I'll have it all figured out at 36 years old? I won't have it figured out at 56. But I'm on my way. And so are you. Some of you are the real top 10 photographers in the world, and the rest of us don't even know you're alive. You don't even realize how amazing you are. Some of you are just getting started. Be patient. Don't rush. Chill out. You are on your way. Some of you suck and you really need some help. Your camera doesn't have a Richard Avedon button on it, does it? Well, Avedon sucked, Karsh sucked, Adams sucked, Mary Ellen sucked, Cowart sucked, Jarvis sucked. Every photographer in all of history was a horrible photographer for some period of time. They learned, they grew, they had dark days, they persevered. That is the way of the artist. Just be patient, keep on going. Transformation takes time, and from what I've seen in my life, it really is worth the wait.
And we're back.
And there you go. Yes.
So we hope that you found that video not just depressing but inspiring. But he talks about, you know, a lot of the things that we go through in the winter with, you know, not just a professional state but a mental state. And so, you know, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we've got Zach here with us.
I'm channeling my inner Zach Arias. This is as good as I could do. Sorry. That's a good look for me.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, we hope you enjoyed that. One of the other things we wanted to talk about, again, something that Pete and I got to do at Photo Plus, we got to go see one of my absolute favorite photographers speak that I'd never been able to see before, and that's Dan Winters. We've given away Dan's book on the show here before, Road to Seeing, so if that's something you don't already have, that is something you should pick up.
Yeah, you can check it out at peachpit.com because they do all our books.
Yeah.
They do his book as well. And we were blown away by getting to sit in there. I'm sitting in the audience with Peter Hurley over here, and he's talking, and Peter's just like taking notes. I'm taking notes. He's like, if he says one more inspirational thing, I'm going to throw up. It was just, you know, sometimes you'll be in somebody's presence, and you're just like, wow.
Speaking of being.
Oh, look at that segue. Back over to the...
So one of the things that Dan talked about in his presentation was not just having an interest in photography, but other things outside of it. And he himself is a beekeeper and a carpenter, and these things play into his work because as a carpenter, he's able to build his own custom sets for photo shoots. And he's been doing these...
He thought he was going to be an entomologist,
yeah.
And so this was just a personal side project where he wanted to take and photograph these bees in an electron scan microscope. And they're just phenomenal. And he says, you know, there's a cost to it. It was $500 an hour to rent the scope. But you got things like, these are on the edges of the wings, I think he said. Here's a stinger. And these are just his personal project, but they're phenomenal.
Yeah. And then this stuff turns around and gets him work for like scientific magazines and stuff.
Well, and being a carpenter, he needed to do a shoot where he wanted a photo booth. And he didn't like the look of any of them, so he built that himself, which then, you know, leads to he's doing stuff for like Wired magazine where he's creating these things to illustrate.
I think this was like a health magazine because this is.
Oh, was this health?
This is illustrating like different. Like,
this was a urinary tract, I believe,
I think
for that.
It was like that's kidneys and bladder and stuff. But like he's doing. That sounds fun, doesn't it? But he's doing these other shoots because he has interest outside of just lighting and stuff. Like he's obviously really good at it. But while we're looking at his website, I don't want you to think that this is the only kind of stuff he does. Just go look at some of his people stuff too, just because it's so amazing.
Well, and that's where he kind of came onto the field where people started paying attention to him. Is he started doing some stuff, and he showed me. I'm gonna find it right here. Well, let's get over here. This Helen Mirren. He built that whole set himself because he wanted it to feel like a loft in a Paris, downtown Paris loft or something like that, but he knew he couldn't take her over to Paris. So he built this whole thing and lit it. This is all on a studio, but it's all his craftsmanship that did it. And he makes these iconic images using his craftsmanship as part of what influences the images that he makes. I'm going to try to find the one with Denzel Washington that really kind of brought him on the scene. You talk, Brad.
So one of the things that he does, just go to actors.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because you're
right.
So one of the things he does is he will have ideas for a certain look, for a certain set, for a shoot, and he'll sketch it all out and like just really do these pretty detailed drawings of what he wants it to look like. And then if he can't find the place that he wants, he'll just build it, and he'll just go to a Hollywood soundstage, and he and his assistant both have carpentry in their background, so he and his assistant just get all the supplies and build it to what they want.
Well, and what's funny about that is he started doing these mock-ups for what he wanted to do, and one of the editors said, hey, can you just clean that up and we'll use that? Yeah. So now he does a lot of illustrations as well.
Now he gets hired for illustrations. So, you know, it's just one of those things. Just in the presentation, he quotes Jay Maisel and says, you know, this is one of my favorite quotes. If you want to become a better photographer, become a more interesting person. And to do that, you have to have interest outside of just being a photographer, and you know, go find things that can help you broaden your thought process and your interests. And he talked about having a toolbox of gear for shoots so that he can show up to just any shoot and he has his gear there and can build whatever he needs with whatever lights and softboxes he wants to use. And I was able to ask him a similar question about does he have a toolbox of ideas, and that's where he talked about having the idea for the Helen Mirren shoot.
Okay, full disclosure, I'm gonna steal this for a second. You ever go to a discussion or whatever, and it's basically one of your heroes, your idols, and so you really try to think of a good question? He asked a question, and Dan Winters said, ooh, that's a really good question. So Brad's been dancing around feeling good that he got that's a good question. And it really was a good question. But you know how you could see the background? I'm looking at Brad, and I'm like, Brad suddenly got the big boy pants on. And but it was great. He asked the question. Did you already say it? I wasn't paying attention.
I asked if he had basically a toolbox of ideas for shoots. You know, does he come up with an idea that he wants to do, and does he use that immediately for the next shoot he gets hired for, or does he kind of tuck that away for that's going to be for a special one? And that's what he said about the Helen Mirren shoot was, you know, he had that idea and he knew that he didn't want to just waste it on anybody. And once he got the call and, you know, got the assignment to shoot Helen Mirren, he was just like, okay, this is worth pulling this idea out for. So you're really having a hard time finding this picture.
I know. So yeah, all right.
Because you're spelling Denzel wrong.
Listen, I'm here for my looks, not for my brains or my talent.
All right, but go to Pete's computer so you can see this
picture.
So
I couldn't find it anywhere else, so yes, it's sad. I had to go grab it from here. But, okay, this was for when Denzel did the Malcolm X story. And so what he did, he said, this really got him noticed because he built this little forced perspective stage that he put Denzel on, and then you can, if you pay attention, you may have seen it. This is what got him noticed. Well, the whole thing is because he had been looking at different folks, different artists, different movies, and that was tucked in the back of his head. And that's kind of where we wanted to go. No, you don't have to be a beekeeper and all this stuff, but there are things that resonate within you that are outside of photography that can really influence and educate your photography. And now, if it's not ideal to be out there in the snow doing things, if it's just a downtime, build on yourself and become a more interesting person in other ways. Because what happens is we tend to get locked into our little bubble of I'm a photographer, I got to do all this, and you become one of those people that only talks about photography and only talks about a certain type of photography, and that's all you're doing, and you're becoming less. You're becoming more two-dimensional than three-dimensional.
And when you dig into that so much, it becomes a rut.
It becomes a rut. It becomes boring for you and the people around you. Whereas I just want to sit with Dan Winters and talk about life because he just seems like a fascinating person, and it comes out in his work. And so the big question is, are you going to let the winter, the downtime, cause your phone to go off like Adam's over there, or are you going to take the time to really become a better person, not just in the I treat people better, but more well-rounded? Read books that have nothing to do with photography but may end up influencing you.
Like Shakespeare?
Like Shakespeare.
He made a Shakespeare reference yesterday, and I didn't get it, and he's just like, pick up a book.
I wanted the title of this to be Now is the Winter of Our Discontent, and he just kind of did one of those Irish setter. And I said, yes. Yes, you know, yeah. What'll happen is Brad will come and say, "Hey, have you seen this photographer, whatever?" I'm like, "No," and he's like, "Oh,
most
really?"
Most of the time, it's usually music.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah. Usually, it's bands. Have you heard this band? And he gives me that look, like, "You poor sad creature. You're not as educated and relevant as I am." So I said, "Yeah, written by a little guy named Shakespeare. Why don't you pick up a book?" So that's part of it. You know, read other stuff. Get those ideas, because a lot of what the people that do phenomenal work is they have phenomenal ideas. Anybody can really do this, but it's how you get the ideas from your head.
Right. Of what to put in front of the camera, yeah. Yep. And speaking of inspirational quotes, do you want to read that one from Jen? Jan
Eric says, "The deep and lovely dark, you could never see the stars without it."
The 12th Doctor.
The 12th Doctor.
So, from Doctor Who.
Well, and here's, yeah, because Jan and I had a little, he was talking about, you know, we do go through, as people, we go through seasons. There are high seasons, there are low seasons. Most of the time, creative people do have a dark side to them. And you'll go through down times. I've gone through depression. Jan was talking about depression. But what it does is it opens you up to, first of all, be more compassionate and empathetic with other people, but it also lets you see the brightness even better. Somebody talked about the dark parts of our lives as being the dark filling in mosaics. If the darkness wasn't there, the mosaic wouldn't shine as brightly as it should. So use these seasons for what they're meant to be, a time to kind of let the soil rest and get ready for spring. And that's kind of what we want to talk about here. Is it doesn't have to be this dirge that you struggle through. Find some ways to make it more exciting, and really be a time that you get excited about, because the pressure's not as strong right now to just keep performing, and it can really be a good time. Thank you so much for that quote, Jan. That's beautiful.
You wrote this outline, and I don't know what this last thing is, so I'm just going to let you talk about that.
Well, it depends on what emphasis you put on there. I said build in emotional presence for yourself. And the whole thing is figure out things that you can do during this time that help keep you going. Give yourself little goals or little treats that, okay, I've put off working on my website because it's too hard to deal with, or it's too frustrating, or I don't think I have the emotional energy to do it right now. The weather outside matches the weather in my heart. Well, if you can give yourself, yes, how about that?
could be good or bad.
Welcome to the lively, upbeat show. But so realize that, there are people out there that struggle during the winter, seasonal affect, sad, whatever that, yeah. But so you've got to be aware of that and how you are in these seasons, and give yourself some stuff that's going to be emotional presence to yourself that give you a lift. It may be that you go, hey, go find and go visit with or start communicating with a photographer or somebody else that can feed into your life. Or you go make a project simply for the fact that you're going to learn something new and it's going to be fun. It might not have anything to do with what you do. If you're a portrait photographer, it may be that you want to go out and do sports, go shoot a professional football team. Give yourself something that's going to break you through that rut and pick you up, because that's the hard thing. And really the biggest thing is make sure you don't isolate yourself. We as photographers tend to be these little myopic, I'm going to do my own thing. I don't want to hear from you. I want to figure these things out. But we really do need each other. We need to encourage one another. We need to not just be so good at critiquing and saying what you're doing wrong, but speak out about what you're doing right. So if you're in a good place, find somebody around you that may be in a tough place and give them an emotional present. I guarantee it'll come back around to you and they'll speak into your life later on, and it'll definitely work out for you.
One thing I wanted to throw in here just real quick, just because I thought about it, we hadn't planned on this, but if you do want to get involved with something that can be both very inspirational for yourself, but also help others, coming up December 6th is the Help Portrait event. So a lot of you are probably familiar with Help Portrait. Speaking of Jeremy Cowart, he started this a few years ago, and it's just really become a worldwide kind of phenomenon for photographers, just to be able to give something back to their communities and to people who need pictures. And a lot of times you hear, oh, a picture, like what, can they use food or clothes or whatever? Well, sure they can, but once you do this and you see the reaction of some of the people that have never had their portrait done before, just to have a moment of pampering, to be able to have their makeup done and their hair done, and to be valued. To be valued, yeah. It's not just handing them a picture. It's making them feel something that they've not felt in a long time.
When it's kind of counter social media, where it's all about me. Let me take selfies. Let me do this. Let me put out my brand. This is all about doing something that's got a greater good in it that will really help sometimes take the focus off yourself. Because part of our funk is we start playing that record in our head of all the things we're doing wrong. Something like this is really an emotional present that we can give to ourselves.
So if you want to find out more about that, go to help-portrait.com or just Google Help Portrait and it'll come up.
Yep. So that's a great thing. All right, we're going to take a break in just a second, and then we're going to do our giveaway. But we need to mention we've got a new KelbyOne class out there. It's an inspirational series with Frank Dorhoff.
Frank Dorhoff.
And if Frank Dorhoff can inspire you just by his accent and his wonderful teddy bearness, I don't know who can. But great guy.
Just click at Meredith. It'll go to the.
Yeah, if you just click on Meredith, just click.
There, it'll go.
Yep, but it's Mia McCormick interviewing him. Mia does a phenomenal job. So just go to KelbyOne.com and check out the inspirational course with Frank Dorhoff. We love that guy. I tell you what, if you ever catch a ride in a cab with him and his wife, even though I'm 6'3", I feel like a little guy in there. They're awesome. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about our giveaways, and we're going to wrap this show up. Thank you so much for being with us.
We all know the difference a great teacher makes. They inspire you, challenge you, and push you to do the things you never thought you could. For creatives, that means you've got to know your tools inside and out, whether it's Photoshop or photography, lighting or Lightroom, InDesign or After Effects. And while there are free videos out there, you have to watch 30 bad ones just to find a decent one. And a lot of times, the techniques are either outdated, complicated, or just plain wrong. What we need is a better way to learn. One that connects amazing teachers with creative people all over the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A thriving educational community with nothing but the most talented, engaging, and respected teachers in the industry. Then we simplify the whole learning process with short, clear, concise classes. That's exactly what we've created for you right here at KelbyOne.
3? 2.5? Oh, we're live.
love
Okay,
messing with
let's go. We love Arnaldo, and we want to kill him at the same time.
I actually didn't realize this. We've got a
Convenient. No, we planned this out. That's how good we are. We are so on top of it.
So we've got a Peach Pit ebook deal for you. You can get 40% off. Wait, that's not.
That's the wrong one. I think right now that one. I don't know.
What happened? I'm at the same. Whatever. Okay, it's the Magic of Light painting. That book there. You can get 40% off of that thing.
By Tim Cooper. It's the Magic of Light painting. 40% off if you go to peachpit.com/KelbyOne and you put in the coupon code KelbyOne. You can get that book. However, we're a little confused because if we go over to Brad's computer.
If you go to that link right now, you can get 40% off of Dan Winter's book that I mentioned earlier. So go. Maybe it's going to switch over at some point. Go get the Dan Winter's book and then go get the nighttime
and
book.
if it doesn't work, don't blame us. We're sorry.
Yeah.
Don't write in.
But either way, you save money. And they're both great books, I'm sure.
Even if you have to buy the book, Dan Winter's book, full price, it's worth it. It expired. Crap. Sorry, you missed out. It's still worth it. Go get it.
Whatever. Anyway.
Okay. Hey, Brad, let's do this in radio voices.
All right.
Hey, guess what, Brad?
What's that?
Hashtag KelbyOne Giving started yesterday.
Yesterday?
In the spirit of Thanksgiving here in the U.S., forget all you out in the rest of the world, as a way to say thank you and you all. Thank you to you all. I say y'all because I'm from the South. We're giving away 10 awesome prizes over 10 days. Wait, that's right. We're running the hashtag KelbyOne Giving Contest on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All at once! But wait, there's more. All you have to do is visit these pages each day for details. The pages being demonstrated for you right on the screen. Today's contest is happening on Instagram, and someone is going to win our Platinum Learning Library bundle, which includes a full year of KelbyOne membership and lots of other goodies. The winner of these is announced at 8 p.m. tonight on Instagram. And Brad, what is the link?
The link is Instagram.com/KelbyOnePics. That's KelbyOnePics.
That's PICS. Don't add the K.
Huh?
Pics.
I
know. I'm helping them.
Okay.
Because they can't see it.
Please go find us, and while you're at it, don't forget to add Scott, who's on Instagram at Instagram.com/ScottKelby. Since he just started Instagramming again.
He just started back.
Giveaway stuff. Oh, we're not supposed to read that part. All right, so we got our giveaways here. We got this handy dandy little KelbyOne bag.
And this, the new book from Scott Kelby, it is, what is this book?
Photoshop CC for photographers.
Photoshop CC for photographers.
Way to pay attention, Pete.
I know.
Wait, no. We got a complaint that we put things down too quickly. Go back to this camera.
We got to zoom in.
Go
here.
back.
We're going to hold on.
There you go.
Zoom in.
Okay, now put it away. And you can win a ticket to one of our seminars. If you want to go to one of those, go to KelbyOne.com/live. Pick a date and tell us which one you want to go to.
Mention that in the giveaway. But how do they do that, Brad? Well, they need to go to
KelbyOne.com/contest.
My radio voice, not yours.
Your radio voice.
That's right, Brad. Make sure you go to KelbyOne.com/contest, choose the grid from the drop-down menu, add the rest of that, and if you would prefer what giveaway you would prefer,
tell us what you want to win in the comments.
What you want to win and where you want to go if you want to get a ticket to one of our seminars, make sure you put that on there.
Yes. So, Pete, where can they find more about you?
All over. I'm everywhere. Probably the easiest thing is on the KelbyOne site, on PeteCollins.com. Facebook, I am Pete C. Photo.
And your Pete C. Photo on Twitter.
I'm Pete C. Photo, at Pete C. Photo on Twitter and Google Plus as well. You can just find me around.
Even though nobody's on Google Plus anymore. Anyway, you can find out more about me at BeMoreVisuals.com. And that's my thing on Twitter and Instagram too. So just look up Be More Visuals, you'll find me. If you look up Brad Moore, there's another photographer out there named Brad Moore. We've spoken. He's got BradMoore.com. It makes me sad.
So
anyway,
don't
that's not me.
Look for BradMoore.com. Go to BeMore.com.
BeMoreVisuals.com.
Is there a period? B.more?
Nope.
Okay, so just Be More.
Don't confuse them.
But that's more with 2 O's, not one.
All right, thanks for joining us today, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. We are gonna get out of here, go home.
Yep, that's it.
Do whatever.
Guys, thank you so much. Scott and the gang should be back here next week, so make sure you check it out. And more wonderful exciting something or other will be happening then as well. Adam has already left the comment section, and he's left because he can't take it anymore. So we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time right here on the grid.